something that I would say is I think is a huge foundation. Obviously, we have the gospel in common. Obviously, we believe the same things about the whole purpose of our lives. But a real gift on top of that has been a sense of humor and the family, because I think that's a huge factor in what we've already talked about receiving correction by your own children. Like the fact that we all have a lively sense of humor is one of the biggest gifts that we have, because we can laugh at ourselves. As Luke says, sometimes you tell a good joke, sometimes you just are a good joke. That's with our kids, when you're saying you got to be good at laughing at yourself when you did the dumb thing. But I think that's been a real foundational to the fellowship being fun. We don't fellowship is not just a holy quiet.
And it accentuates when someone gets into sin and gets a bad attitude. It accentuates the pain of the break in fellowship. Right. And it accentuates the joy of being restored to it.
Right. Yeah. But that's the thing I think is the hardest to communicate to people who live in sort of joyless families.
Read more Woodhouse.
Not funny. Well, I was going to say with our kids, as our kids have gotten older, one of the ways that we see them embracing the standard is in them trying to be funny about it. Right. So, you know, like we see them embracing it by them trying to make us laugh about their read on a situation or their whatever.
Remember when Rachel cracked the good joke at the dinner table? She was maybe 3 or 4.
Happened once.
Everybody.
So, I think she was in a high chair.
No, I think she was older than a high chair. She couldn't.
Anyway,
at any rate,
she was
witty.
Little. It was witty, however old.
But
big enough to be witty.
She told a joke or something, and everybody laughed.
It was really
so
funny.
she told the punchline again. Everybody kind of laughed, and then she told the punchline again. And everybody went, ha. And Doug said, you know, Rachel, you should just tell the joke one time.
That's all.
That's all. And so she told the punchline, and everybody died laughing. And so it's like,
So you get the big laugh on get the big laugh on 1 and 4.
Yeah.
This is why you hit every punchline 4 times.
Yeah, everyone.
We just found out that Moses, our 2-year-old, calls all of the kids by their regular names except for Titus, who he called my chubby cheeks, or
What a great name.
He was singing a song about my chubby cheeks in the car, and I was like, what is this about? And the kids were like, oh, that's what he calls Titus. My chubby cheeks, or what's the one from my sweet Babu from Charlie Brown. But the reason he does this is because it's so hilarious that he's calling Titus my chubby cheeks that everyone thinks it's funny.
But I just kind of adding what Ben said and what you said, Doug, about giving non-obnoxious children to the world and loving the standard. I think the thing that I've learned from you and in this setting most is, like, as a father in discipline, you're trying to teach your kids. This actually connects back to having kids who are great to be with in England, that our Heavenly Father gives us constraints, His law, and it leads to liberty and joy in life. And that, like, as a father, as I think about disciplining these little people, it's, am I reflecting Him in my discipline? Do my constraints, does my discipline, my training, lead to joy and life and freedom, or am I reflecting a miserly God who's disciplining differently? And that's a
around
constant.
a beige playpen where there's nothing in
like
with the schedule taped on the wall.
That's the whole point of discipline, is to keep you in this.
Well, I think that's something that unless you have good examples, it's really hard to see sometimes. So thank you for being a good example.